Hello.
Hello, Ulrikke. So nice we
Hi.
could make it. It's so nice you could make it. Thank you for joining us. Um,
Thank you.
so, um, welcome Ulrikke Andersen and welcome all the viewers. I'm going to, if that's okay with you, Ulrikke, put this on YouTube because I'm sure so many people are interested in what is Greenland all about and what's happening there.
Yes, it's okay.
I read about you and your work in an article from YLE, a Finnish Broadcasting Corporation, and it was very interesting. And this caused me to get in touch with you, and thus here we are. Um, there's so much in the article that would you mind if you introduced yourself a little bit and
Yes, of course. Of course. My name is Ulrikke Andersen, and I'm born and raised in Nuuk, and I'm 39 years old. I am a sexologist, and I have been working in that field for 15 years. And I've traveled in many settlements and many cities in Greenland. So we have about 62 settlements and towns, small towns
right.
in Greenland. Yes. So what I did in my kind of how do you say the on my field was teaching about sexuality and relationships. So sexual health. Yes.
Right. You're also, I understand, involved in local politics. Is that right?
Yes. I am in Siumut, the former biggest that no, the first big like Siumut has was the party that how do you say that fought for home rule and self-governance. So
Right.
yeah,
And and these days you have since 2009, Kalaallisut is the language, or
yeah, Galastas.
yeah, is the official language, and I believe you have uh, sort of like more than just home rule. You are an official nation. The,
We are self-governant, but there are 32 areas that we didn't take home from Denmark. So
oh,
what they did, what they say, because we are a population for 56,000
yeah,
with 56,000 inhabitants, and the system that we are using is a system that is developed for million of inhabitants. Like so, we are trying to adapt the Danish governance system and take it to our country. The how do you say the main goal for every party is self-governance. So we are not yet a nation, but it's the main goal, and there are different point of views how you want to become independent or sovereign.
quite, quite. And I understand different parties have different ideas of how fast it should be done. And yeah, so you are much the how would you say Kalalit Nunat is in international media quite a lot because of the American interest towards you at the moment. What uh,
Yes.
what do you think about that? And what do you think about the uh, upcoming? Is it tomorrow? The people are coming from United States
Oh,
to,
they canceled the trip to Nuuk and Sisimiut.
huh?
Yeah, we
But they're
don't
going
know
to the
why they
base.
canceled.
Yeah.
What?
Are they
They're
not
going to
going to
the
the?
base.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So it's a really problematic situation we are in now that it could have been avoided if the Danish and Greenlandic government had corroborated more for safety, security, because how it is, it's Trump, he wants the natural resources really much. And he use the international security as an excuse to gain territory. But the problem is that he have access to international security right now as the agreement is.
Right.
So it shouldn't be a problem. He could just increase security right now if he wanted to.
Right. It used to be Thule base, right?
It is Thule base.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So is that a problem? Like I understand during the Second World War, or when Americans started their bases there, that at some point there had been so many problems between the locals and the American soldiers, the local ladies, that all contact was forbidden. Are there now? How do you get along with the Americans there?
We do get along with them, and they're our allies. I mean, we are allies. But locally, it is really different from place to place, because in northern Greenland, in Qaanaaq, they have really close relationship with the Americans because it's near Bidufik space. So they have a more natural relationship there than we in the West. We don't really, I mean, I meet like 2 Americans every year. Like, we don't really have contact with them.
So they stay
so
there
much.
pretty much. Okay.
Yeah. But in the West, it's more Danish people.
Aha. So the Greenlandic people are more in the east, is that so?
No, we have in Greenland, there is northern part is Qaanaaq. They have another dialect. They call it dialect, but it's actually, they have another language. And in the West, we have another language, and the East have another language. So we have,
Right.
and South and West is the same language.
Is there like do you feel there is a need to like have a language together, or you get along? Do you understand each other?
Not that much, but it's because we are a former colony that the Danish language had really much, how do you say, strengthened. We were forced to learn Danish, so many Greenlandic lost their language.
Really?
Many
Okay.
my age doesn't even speak Greenlandic. And then in the, how do you say, the indigenous rights have the rights to strengthen their own language. And that's where Denmark had really underestimated our language. So a language is a really big problem here, because right now the official language is Greenlandic, but we have 3 different languages, and the 2 others they are not even considered. They are listed as dialects.
Right.
But they are different languages. So we have a lot of work to do like inside Greenland. We have a lot of works to do.
Indeed. I've looked a little bit into your history, and it would seem that there is much that you have a possibility to do, but also that correct me if I'm wrong, that you have been in a very protected position by the Danish, that you weren't allowed to, how would you say, develop in the way you wished, that you were, they considered that you shouldn't have, say, like oil or certain goods the way you
Certain
wanted.
goods, yes. Because in 1975, when the young politician fought for our home rule, the Danish government wrote a letter to the US that we couldn't become independent because we will end up like Abu Dhabi. So we have a lot of oil, and it's like a hidden, all the years in our lives we've been told that we are a expense from the Danish government. If you go somewhere in Denmark, a Greenlandic will meet discrimination based on that we are an expense. So it's a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation from the government, because they're always hid the treasures. We have a lot of things, I mean, natural resources that we could become really wealthy.
Yeah.
But because we don't have the knowledge on how to use our natural resources, and we develop in a way that to be left, because we are so isolated too, so we have just been left to ourselves.
Right.
And but also it's not only Danish government, because it's also Greenlandic politicians and Greenlandic governance that have fault in this. Yeah.
Right. So it seems that the people of Greenland have been treated for quite a long time, until, was it even until the 70s? So that based on where you were born, you would get more or less paid. If you're Danish born, you'd get much better paid than local people who had the same training.
Yeah.
Has this changed?
Even also when I went to school, we had the Danish class and the Greenlandic class.
Really?
And the Danish class, and I'm 39, and it was in my public school time that the Danish didn't take ninth grade because they were too smart. So that's the narrative Greenlandic have about themselves. Yeah.
So this certainly must cause some weight on your national identity then, being treated as second-rate.
Indeed, it is. But also we have compassion towards our fellow Greenlandic who lost their language. And because also the parents even they were Greenlandic, they put their children in the Danish class because they were guaranteed to have a better future.
Mm-hmm.
But that way they lost their language.
Do you speak the local language yourself?
Yes.
And that must be a treasure in itself as well, being able to speak both.
Yes. Now the youth doesn't speak the local language as much.
Right.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
These must be, although, how would you say, although it seems that there is much development that needs to happen. You mentioned sort of like infrastructure, things like not having water throughout your island. But this must be a very exciting time as well. You know, there are so many possibilities. What would you say are the main things at the moment that need work in Kalallit Nunat?
It's the welfare. Welfare is the most important, because many people struggle. There is poverty, and we have many who have undiagnosed, untreated diagnosis, and mental illness.
Right.
So we have huge social problems that we need to lift, and alcoholism is a big one, and drugs. But drugs, it's in marijuana. So substance abuse. Education need to be really uplifted in every way, in every form. Hygiene, just basic as hygiene, is also no running water and no flushable toilets.
Right.
They don't have it. So
is this in the smaller communities or?
It's everywhere.
Really?
They don't. Yeah. It's only in the big cities we have flushable toilets.
Right.
So, and I don't know if, because in the other hand, we are really lucky and have a lot of opportunities. But in the other hand, it's like we are so afraid to be misused once again, because it's like it would be the fourth colonization that will happen. So what happened is 300 years ago, they colonized us. But then in the 30s, they split it to Denmark had us, just only Denmark had us. And in the 50s, they just took us without asking us. So that would be the fourth time.
Right.
Yeah. No, and I mean, without being asked.
So I understand that you are somewhat dependent on Danish funding, on
Yes.
social funding and that kind of things. How do you think? Was it? Do I understand correctly that when you were running for your parliamentary seat, you were saying it would be good for the Greenlandic people to start starting mines exploring and yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I came with the opportunity. What opportunities do we have in Greenland? And it's like we have so much opportunities, but the government, with the Danish government, could lift a lot of things like oil and mine industry to secure investment. They could help, like, but also a nation's fortune is this political stability. And when we don't have political stability in Greenland, it's really easy to do it the corrupt way. So we need stronger instrument in the country.
Stronger leaders or?
No, from the, like in democracy. Like we lived in democracy, but in reality, it's not really a democracy, but because we don't even have one Greenlandic journalist.
Journalist?
In the news.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a really problematic situation we are, because the national news doesn't have one Greenlandic journalist working for the views from the Greenlandic perspective. So it's Danish journalists who take that part. and do that work.
So in a way, I heard about this guy, gentleman called Augerlinge. He kind of was heading a kind of cultural revolution for your people. It sounds like you need a sort of cultural revolution still there.
Yeah. Well, what they did to him was because in the older days, the Danish didn't want Greenlandic to become powerful. So every time any Greenlandic was becoming like a good leader, they delocated the man and told him to work on this somewhere else. So he didn't get. But also the revolution, it is happening now because we have a national party that really fight, and it's the second largest party now in Greenland. So it is happening, but I'm afraid it's happening on misinformation because Greenlandic people are not ready to, through knowledge, through information, it's like they're really run from their emotion, feeling oppressed. And so they have this rage inside to the Danish people. And that's against democracy. Like we have a lot of things to work on.
Yes, yes, and it's not necessarily very constructive to feel that your self-esteem is dumped all the time. But I'd like to return to your work. Are you still working among different communities?
I just had my last assignment. So I'm done. Yeah.
All right.
I've just been in Maniitsoq and Sisimiut for the last assignment.
How does that make you feel?
It's really good because it's not, I mean, I did it for 15 years and now it's time to do something else. Yeah.
Could you please tell us and me and the viewers a little bit about what you would be doing in your work as a sexologist among your people?
So I did workshops and in public schools, did a seminar about sexuality, the history of sexuality, the culture, and the human rights and the sexual rights and health. How does a healthy sexuality looks like, and the laws, what we have in the world. Which kind of laws do a country have for sexuality or reproductive? So it's like when I first started, because I took the education in Denmark, and it was really much a Western understanding. So when I finished and came back to Greenland, it was just a new study time because I was going to these places and even not their basic needs are met. And I'm there to talk about a subject about sexuality. There was so much contrast on the values in a human. I mean, like a small community, they don't have access to dentist or healthcare and I'm there to talk about sexual health. It didn't match. So it was really difficult many times to go to a place when there's not even running water and they are not really able to take care of themselves in a way that a modern society take care of themselves. So,
Yeah.
but in the bigger cities, I talk about, it was more like a school subject. And they can learn about boundaries and the mentality and the respectful. Right now, we just have the law. I don't know how to say it in English. It's samtykkelov. Do you know the when you are going to have an intercourse, you need the approval.
Uh-huh.
So we just had that law.
Only
So
recently?
only recently.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have, and to inform the youth about that law is really important. That the let me just see the word for it, because it's
Consent, isn't it? Consent.
consent. Yes, consent. Yes. So we have that law in 2023. Yeah.
Well, that's very important. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you, in your work as a sexologist, because I understand from the article I read, you mentioned the fact that the Danish missionaries actually worked on repressing the natural physical way of your being.
Yeah. Yeah, because we
sexuality.
live in such an isolated, harsh environment. So our ancestors had it was a survival thing. We need to stay close together to use the heat from each other. And sexuality was also much more free, in a way that in the older days, to get new blood, they knew about inbreed was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So to get new blood, they would offer their wife. So, or they didn't even have a wife, because it was, but their woman would, how do you say, offer to have a baby with this man. So, but there's also, how do you say, the story about incest.
Yes.
And it's like, if they even had a story about incest, because I don't know if you know about them, our ancestors used to be in a hut, like made of earth and stone,
Uh-huh.
and the light will be turned off, and they can have sex with whomever they want to.
Really?
Yeah, so that was, but they spoke openly about things like that. And there is a myth with the moon and the sun, and it's about incest. So things happened in a small community, but it's just, even now we know the story because they talk openly about it. But Christianity came, and it's like they oppressed this natural sexuality, and made it to something dirty, perverse. So it's a really big, like, cultural crash. So I feel like in our generation and our parents, sexuality is more like something you don't talk about, even though we have in our ancestors talk about it.
Right. You mentioned in the article that the Danish live more in their head, and you live more in your physical bodies.
Yeah, because it's just the brain. I think it's like because our survival, our brain is designed to survive in this environment, and the Danish, to survive, they need to use their brain. So they are a lot more in the logical mind and thinking everything and planning everything to be. And we in Greenland, we are more in the now. We are more present in the now. We don't plan like them. There is a big difference culturally, and of course, our sexuality also. We use our body in a much different way. We are used to walk on stones, on mountains, and that's why we need to be in the body, because if we are in our head, we wouldn't be able to walk on stones in the mountain. So it is our environment that form how our body works and feels like.
Greenland has gone through quite a strong urbanization. The people have been gathered into larger cities, and do you think thus that this has affected the way that your people have been used to surviving through hunting and fishing? Has this changed, and what are the educational? What does it mean? Do you need to change your education system because of this?
We could adjust it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, we could adjust it. The most important thing is to make it in our own language, the educations, at least some of them, because the lack of education, the big problem is that they cannot speak Danish. And even today, it's mainly Danish teachers.
Wow.
So that's
okay.
Yeah. But it comes to adapt. We adapt really good. I think we are the most adaptive, not to be competitive, but we adapt because we are forced to be adapting so extreme weather changes. So I think also a Greenlandic mentality is more relaxed than the modern human being. Like it's so the urbanization, it came with a lot of substance abuse, but I think we adapt to it really good. I mean, our strong forces, we are really good to adapt.
It sounds like one of the greatest strengths of your people throughout your island is the fact that because you've been subjected to so many changes throughout the centuries, you must be extremely social and peaceful to have been able to adapt to all that.
Yeah. And also, I know the National Party is fighting for our hunters, for the fishermen, for the Greenlandic culture to survive. And that's, I mean, it's really important that's like a indigenous right that we survive. Not even that we survive, that we keep our culture. We have the right to keep our culture. But what happened in the I don't, when they became, how do you say the word?
Institutionalized?
Institutionalized, yes. in Europe in the 1700s that young people commit suicide too back then. And it's the modern, no, when was it? Oh, I forgot. But the modern society cost for everyone, for every nation, it cost. And it's not only Greenlandic with our culture, it's everywhere in the world. And that's what I think we need to focus on more too, because it's not only in Greenland, it's other indigenous people that is losing their culture because of the modern society. But it happened already for Europe when they had a different culture too, but they lost it too in the modern society, making the modern society. So it's like, it's not only one nation, not only one country, it's not only one culture, it's for everyone in the world.
Yes, yes. It's these problems arise at different times, at different places, but they all seem very common to us. So it seems.
Yeah, but what I want to say, my point was that the development for a country to be 100 years the span has been like for us maybe 30 years. So it's like press it really. And that's why think that maybe it's what is hurting the most. It's that development happened so fast. Even though we are adapting good to our environment, maybe it was a little bit too much.
Bit too much of a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the to come back to the cultural challenges involved also with the sexual aspect. Hans Edege came a missionary and taught Christianity to Greenland, but you have your own traditional way of nature spirits and stories. Is it still alive in Greenland? Like, heaven is called Killak, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heaven is like, yeah, I think the youth did a really good yeah, soul searching. I think it was, they did a lot of soul searching to gain again the lost culture, because in Nunavut, in our fellow Inuit in Nunavut, they lost their language, but they didn't lose their culture.
Right.
And we didn't lose our language, but we lost our culture. So that's what I know, that the youth are more going towards to the Canadian Inuit to gain more culture.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because we are assimilated to, I mean, in Nuuk, at least we think like Danish people, we talk like Danish people, we live as Danish people. There wouldn't be one thing. I mean, we are Greenlandic still, but not in a cult, because just like the drum dance, I couldn't do the drum dance, even though if I wanted to, but my ancestors, my parents and my great parents, they didn't do it. So it's like not natural for me to do it. It would be something that I will try to do to maybe to respect my ancestors or something. But also the Inuit tattoos they are getting now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so there are different ways to become more cultural again, or they gain. But also for me, it's a little, but that's one is personal for me. It's like we are part of the colonizers.
Oh, you yourselves are colonizing.
No, like our ancestors did the colonization.
I see. Because
So
of
it's
being taught by the Danish.
no, because we are mixed in the West. We are mixed Greenlandic.
Right.
Like my great grandfather is one colonizer, and many Greenlandic have that
Right.
colonizer background. But also, that's the big issue now, that because of the ILO Convention 169, the indigenous rights has we like that we have our rights written, and the Danish have written, like the Danish came to the conclusion that we Greenlandic are how do you say, have the rights of indigenous people. But the discussion that we never did take is who is Greenlandic, who is the indigenous people. And that's the big discussion here, because now we need to, who is it that has the rights of this?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's not to everyone there.
No. It's just say the Greenlandic people, but we never said, okay, then who is Greenlandic? Is it what they did in Canada, but that was not their Inuit, it was not Inuit wishes to have an Inuit card. They need to be some percentage of Inuit to have an Inuit card.
Right.
And that's not something that belongs to democracy. We cannot discriminate, but it's against the one with the big power. So we are not suppressed as Greenlanders, but we not even know who the Greenlanders are.
Right. We have a little bit of a similar problem in the Scandinavian countries, well, Finland included, with the Lappish people. It's like pretty strict who is really Lappish and who can belong to, the Lappish people. Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you're not working as a sexologist anymore. May I ask, what is it you're going to head towards now?
I'm not quite sure yet, but my focus is gonna be on studying more in international law and get prepared for the Greenlandic people to become independent.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you're going to be representing your people even more.
I hope so, if I ever get elected. No, but also the situation with the US and the Danish, I feel like we need to gain a lot of more knowledge about the world situation. So I have a lot of studying to do.
Right. This is something that's changing every day. So let's hope that things go towards harmony and peace.
I hope.
Yes.
I hope so.
Yeah. One more question that's been really, really interesting, and so much. There would be lots of material to ask, even another Zoom. But
Yeah.
I wonder if you could give me best case scenario. Like imagine that everything was possible, and you could see in Greenland absolutely everything working the way you think it should be. What would it look like?
It would include, first, foremost, the US need to sign the Indigenous Rights Convention.
Yeah,
They didn't sign it.
indeed. Aha.
So, but also, if they signed it, that would mean the indigenous of the. I know Trump. I don't think he will ever sign indigenous rights. That's the first one too. If we ever should work with the US, they should sign that. So we know as indigenous people, we are protected. That's the most important. And the best scenario would be that the Western hold together as allies, because right now it's the biggest internal diplomatic crisis that have been in the history. And I don't think even we realize now how big that crisis is, because the Western is threatened, and it's right now we should stand together. So the best scenario would be that we stick together, the US and the Danish and Greenlandic and all the West countries. And also what I don't understand of the subject, but a little like Ukraine is for the West, and then we let them invade the West already. I mean, it's like our world is in danger, and what we should protect is the West, because the Chinese and the Russian don't run their countries on democracy. So the best case scenario is that Trump and Mette Frederiksen meet up and meet with every Western leader and make a pact on that we all protect each other. Because this is not only Greenland, and that's the big problem, is that Greenlandic people think it's about Greenland. It's not about Greenland. It's about the strategic place, and it's about security. It's about so much bigger than Greenland. So the best scenario is that the West just stand together and don't make this happen again, that we fighting. Because right now what Trump is doing, that he's fighting on his own allies. And what I immediately thought of is the Chinese war art
or martial arts. Martial arts, you mean?
No, the Chinese war art, the war art from it's really, really old Chinese, how to beat your
defense
enemy.
and all that, yeah?
No, it's way before that.
Oh, I understand. Strategies, yeah?
Yes, strategies.
Yeah.
So what I think was the best way to beat your enemy is to beat your allies first. That was what I was thinking when he came And he is beating his allies first now, Trump.
Ah, I understand. You mean Sun Tzu's Art of War, yes?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yeah,
Indeed.
yeah. So I mean, the best scenario is world peace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Let us not invest in war.
Yeah. But also, what I don't understand is when you become the middleman of two nations, you immediately become the weak one because you are neutral. And as a nation, we cannot be neutral. I don't know. Maybe it's just because he became Russian and Ukraine, and now Putin has more power than Trump because Trump became the middleman.
Hmm.
I don't understand that part. Yeah, but he was, he must have his reasons to do what he did.
Yeah, it's a big job to go into a politician's mind.
Yeah.
Please, one more thing. You mentioned about the strong, what is the women's right situation in Greenland at the moment?
We have a lot of work to do. Criminal, like rape and such, and violence is against women,
Yeah, yeah,
like in the rest of the world. But in our culture, the normal thing is that we all have really strong Greenlandic women in our familyhood. So we just, I think it's a part of our survival strategy
yeah.
that women need to be strong and women need to be. Um, it's not a mean thing, but many Greenlandic women are kind of angry, but like it's not really a bad thing. I just think it's like something, um, a defensive mechanism. Do you understand the defensive mechanism to like we show like hardness to defend ourselves so no one can hurt us? That's some of, I mean, at least what I know in my every family have a really strong woman.
Matriarch.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, Ulrikke Andersen, thank you so much for this most interesting conversation. I've learned so much more about Greenland, and I must say, I'm so fascinated about your country and people. One day, I hope I will come and visit.
You're
Um,
so welcome.
Thank you. So, I wish you a wonderful springtime there, and
Thank
good luck to your was it legal studies and
you. Yeah.
yeah, and future political future. I'm sure
Thank
you
you.
will bring a lot of good to your people.
Thank you so much, Johan.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
And talk to you again sometime.
That would be nice.
And call me if you ever come. You will come.
Thank you so much. So perhaps we can do another conversation at some time. That would
We
be
can
nice.
do that.
Great.
Yes.
All right. Take care. Thank you
Bye.
so much. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.